That should start in a moment.
Okay. Reminder that we'll send it out after the session. We will be recording all of them, so if you have missed any or miss any later, you will be able to see those. If you do have any questions as we go through, please do post them in the chat, and we will make sure that there's some time at the end for the presenter to answer your questions. And without any further delay, I think we have Sophie on the call with us from Cascade, and she's going to present to us and demonstrate Xello. Is that right, Sophie? Are you here?
Yep, I'm here, loud and clear. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can do. Welcome.
Fantastic.
Do you want to introduce yourself and share the screen whenever you're ready?
Yeah.
Great,
I'll
thank
start
you.
by sharing the screen to make sure that that's up and running. So can you see the Introducing Xello, a New Approach to Future Readiness now?
We can see that now, yes.
Fantastic. Brilliant. So yes, thank you for the invitation to join you all today. It's really nice to see so many familiar names. Me and Damien are definitely really excited to be here and have the opportunity to share Xello with you all. So I'll kick things off with a really quick introduction. As we are a local Leicestershire-based company, I know many of you will have already heard about Cascade, and you'll likely know about our long history providing careers education solutions in this sector. However, I expect many of you that are here today are wondering what Xello is and what it's all about. But before I get ahead of myself, I just want to take a moment to share with you why we do what we do and what makes us tick. So as you'd expect, there is a dedicated team working behind the scenes here at Cascade, and each of us is really passionate about helping educators and teachers prepare their students for future success. And our mission is really simple. We want to help every student become future ready, regardless of their background, ability, or desired pathway. And our approach to this is straightforward too. With our student-centered tool, we're going to help you focus on the most important things, like increasing engagement, enabling successful transitions, and helping every student become future ready. We know that students are more likely to reach their academic potential when they understand how their education links to their future goals. And as students begin to connect these dots in Xello, you'll see engagement levels, achievements, and progress rates improve. It's also a fact that students face many transitions throughout their education journey, and Xello will equip them with the knowledge and insights needed to navigate these critical transitions and make well-informed decisions aligned to their aspirations, their achievements, their interests and personalities. All pathways in Xello are treated, and a student's path in Xello, there are options, experiences that help them form that really visual, vibrant roadmap to their future that's most importantly easy for them to update, but also to share as well. So let's take a look at Xello. So I'm going to log in to a student profile. In this case, it's for a young boy called Ben. So as I sign in, you'll see that I'll land on the student's dashboard. So the dashboard centralizes the student's activity and work to help them focus on the important tasks set by their teacher. And the dashboard also serves as a great jumping off point into the different areas of Xello. Throughout Xello, students work through our 4-pillar learning model. So before they know it, they'll have built self-knowledge, they'll have explored their options, and they'll have created actionable plans. And perhaps most crucially of all, along the way, they'll have learned and reassessed every step of the way. One of our customers recently said to us that their students are not seeing Xello as academic work. It's different. They're investing time in themselves. On the dashboard, students will also find their lessons, and Xello's lessons are personalised based on their work in the programme. They give the students a chance to reflect and build on their skills to ensure a smooth transition between their critical life stages. The beauty of Xello's lessons is they can be easily woven into your curriculum plans and designed to meet the Gatsby benchmarks. So not only are these lessons fully reportable, providing you with the evidence you need for inspections and Compass Plus, but they ensure you meet the benchmarks in a way that's positively going to impact each of your students in a truly meaningful way. So it's not just for compliance purposes. We head back to the dashboard. You'll see students can also find their assignments on here. On the dashboard, these assignments are also trackable and reportable for you as educators. And by setting assignments for your students, you have the opportunity to create a more bespoke experience that's tailored to the needs of your pupils individually. So we'll head into the About Me section now. And in Xello, you see this section is a space where students can get to express what makes them unique. Its student-centered design will help flip the switch between it being about school to it being about them. This change in their mindset is the reason why Xello is so engaging. The assessments are also located on this page too, and the assessments the students identify preferences rather than their current skills, and this takes away some of the anxiety they experience when faced with that question, what skills do you have? And it allows them to focus on what skills they would like to develop over time. As we go a little further into the About Me section, you'll also see that students can access a CV builder here. This will support them when creating what could be their very first CV. And the CV itself is not just a one-off activity, it grows with the student as they work on their Xello profile. Under the CV builder, you'll spot the experiences timeline. The experiences timeline is the perfect place for students to record their activities, experiences and achievements. But that's not all, it will go one step further by encouraging each student to reflect on their activities too. They are given the opportunity to say what they liked, what they found challenging and what they learned, and this chance to reflect helps the student to understand the value of each task and the key takeaways. So let's head into one of Xello's career profiles. We'll choose graphic design for today. So the first thing that students are greeted with when going on to a career profile is one of our inspiring hero images. And our hero images have been carefully selected to include a range of different individuals from genders, different abilities and ethnicities to ensure we provide a really inclusive experience. Students can also use the Find Out Why button here to drive a deeper learning and exploration so that they can understand why the career has been chosen for them. They can identify how the career matches their interests, and they can also identify how the career matches their skills preferences. Giving them valuable information and insight into what they can expect. As they dive even deeper into the profile, students can gain more knowledge about the expected salary. So go down here, you'll see the expected salary. And as you can see, a simple toggle located here will change this information to wage. And this is because our user experience research told us that students wanted to see the information presented in this way. Another unique feature that they'll benefit from is the sample career path, showing them how they could progress in the industry when they gain experiences and qualifications. When a student then heads back to the top of the career profile, they're given the opportunity to save the career if they're interested in it. This will bring up a new section which will help the student to further explore why this career is something that they're interested in, and it drives that meaningful reflection. This includes the student capturing how they feel about the career, following their research, and allows them to assess the career against a series of factors as well. So they can see here how the factors that are important to them marry up in this career. And again, students have told us that this information is important to them when they are assessing their options. And these are the factors that they will consider when making a decision. So that's how that works on a career profile. So as we head into explore options, in this section, you'll see that it's presented to them in a way that makes it easy for them to locate and identify career profiles, education providers, and course information. From here, students can hop into Explore Careers, where they'll find hundreds of career profiles to explore and research. And to make it easier for them to find what they're looking for, they can use filters to help narrow down that selection. This will help them find careers that are best suited to their needs and aspirations. And these filters include things like helping them search based on subject area that they're interested in and even level of qualification that they're hoping to achieve. Students can also research college and universities here, has their own dedicated study options and much, much more. It's worthwhile mentioning at this point that Xello includes both FE and sixth form colleges, and they all have their own dedicated profile. And finally, students will also be able to assess what courses and apprenticeships they're interested in at both post 16, 18 and also the apprenticeship level as well. So we'll finish things off from the student side in the goals and plans section. In here, you'll see that students can start to build their plans, and these plans should be dynamic and actionable to help them with their future. The key here is that students can choose a starting point for their plan that complements where they are beginning their journey. And then over time, as they work on their Xello profile and gain confidence, they'll be able to build on those plans even further, adding in things like the places that they want to study and what courses they'd like to enroll on. So that's given you an overview of the Xello student experience. So what we'll do now is head out of here, and I'm going to actually hand over to my colleague Damien to take you through the Xello educator experience.
Thanks, Sophie. So as Sophie just said, you've seen the student experience. Equally important is what the output is from an educator perspective. And again, similar to the student dashboard, when an educator logs in, they're taken straight to the educator dashboard. From here, you get some initial overview in terms of usage, and also you get access to demo student accounts. Now, this is a great tool that allows you firstly to explore as a student would explore through each year group. You can create a live and dynamic demo student account, and that allows you, as I said, A, to explore what the students are exploring, but also B, to perhaps work through Xello as a tool in line with the students. If we look over on the left-hand navigation, you can see there's four main sections. So if we start by looking at students, and here you can have a look at the student list. This will give you access to all of the students and allow you to a student profile. Straight away, it's bringing a lot of about the student's profile, all of the inputs that have gone into Xello, looking at their career matches, their saved careers. So this becomes really powerful in those one-to-one sessions with students. You can have a deep dive into various points of conversation. It forms a great conversation starter as well for the students. We then look at the lesson progress section. Again, you can look in detail at the responses that students have put for all of their lessons that they've completed. Again, just helping you get a deeper understanding of what the student's thinking, what they're planning, where they're at. In this case, it's really powerful to have a look at what kind of skills do they value, what kind of skills do they think they're performing well at the moment, and then cross-reference with some of the inputs they put into their profile as well. Again, really powerful as a conversation starter with the students. From the students section, if we then move over to have a look at the educators. So in here, this is where we can create all of the educator accounts, and you can have as many as you want. And there are three different user levels. We have administrator, and that would be somebody who can see all students and can add additional educator accounts. We then have user level access, which is someone who can see all students. And finally, limited access, and that's really useful if you have, for example, a careers advisor that you bring into the school on a part-time basis, just to work with a limited number of students. You could set them up so they only see those students. So again, really useful functionality. If we now look at the features section, and starting by looking at the lessons. So lessons are initially configured in a default setup, and we will work with you to allocate the lessons accordingly. Now, the lessons, whilst they state year 7, 8 and 9, they're not badged as such, so you have the ability to move these around to fit in with your curriculum, and you can also add multiple lessons to multiple year groups as well. From here, you could have a look at a lesson, have an overview, check how long it's going to take, so really powerful in terms of planning your curriculum. The other drives that ongoing discovery and learning within Xello. Final piece around the lessons is the ability to create custom lessons as well. So if there are aspects of your curriculum you want to deliver that maybe aren't fully covered in here, you can set your own lessons up. If we look at the assignments, assignments are great for driving activities. You can see that top assignment there, complete the About Me section. The difference with assignments and lessons is assignments can be set to smaller groups, whereas lessons are set to whole year groups. So this is a great example. Complete the About Me section, allocate that to a group of users, and then you know that they've been flagged up which parts of Xello you want them to start exploring first. And then finally, if we look at the dashboard resources, so again, really neat tool. Any documents that you want to sit on the student's dashboard, you can go in here. So you can see some examples on there. Other examples might be a school handbook, might be information about National Apprenticeship Week, anything you think will be valuable for the students, and that will sit on their dashboard. If we now look at the reports, and starting off with the student work reports. So lots of reports in here. I'm not going to go through all of them given the time we've got today. We're going to focus on the saved careers report. So this will be a report of all careers that students have saved and therefore have indicated an interest in. So straight away, you'll see the top 5 saved careers, followed by a listing of all careers that have been saved by all students. By clicking on one of those careers, you'll be able to see a list of students who have saved that. So again, really powerful to drill down and understand which students are looking at which careers. If, however, we decide we want to broaden the range, we can change from looking at specific careers to looking at clusters. So once we pull up that report, you can see there are going to be bigger numbers included in here because it's aggregating multiple careers. This is really powerful if you're planning certain events. So a talk from a specific employer. You identify science, engineering and manufacturing as the most popular cluster, and you decide to invite someone from that sector to come and speak at the school. You can invite all students, but again, by selecting the hyperlink in that cluster, you're going to bring a list of all students up. And actually, Xello will allow you to send a direct message to all of those students with a targeted message to say, look, you've indicated an interest in this cluster. It'd be really valuable for you to come along to this event. If we then move on to go back to the student work report, and then the final report I just want to touch on here. So Sophie mentioned earlier about the experiences timeline and some of the information that students can capture in there. Specifically, if we're looking at work experience, students can capture work experience in there, and you can then report on that work experience. So you can identify which students have a completed work experience, and more importantly, you can also assess the impact that's had because they are being driven to reflect on that within the experiences timeline. So we now move over to lesson progress. So in here, you can view completion of lessons by specific year groups, by specific lessons, just to get a sense of how much of the curriculum is being completed as and when you set it. From there, you can drill down into the individual student responses as we saw on the student profile. And then the assignments report, again, just allows you to report on the completion rate of the various assignments that you've set. The engagement report, pretty straightforward, allows you to assess usage across a fixed period of time, whether you're looking at logins by day, by month, or logins by student. Again, useful if you're expecting a certain level of use at some point, and you can just sense check whether or not that has happened. And then the final point within the educator tool is the Gatsby benchmarks report. So Sophie touched on earlier the fact that the lessons were all mapped into the benchmarks. Once students complete the lessons, you're able to pull off a report in either Excel or CSV, which forms your evidence of work towards benchmarks. You can then
Yeah, so hopefully that's given you a snapshot of what Xello can offer in regards to the support it gives your students, but also you as educators working behind the scenes to build their careers program that's going to be effective. That's everything that we'll cover today. Don't want it to be too heavy, because I must stress anybody that would like to take a closer look at this for yourself, just get in touch with either me or Damien, and we can get a dedicated demo booked in for you.
Thank you, Sophie and Damien, for presenting that. Does anyone have any questions? We have one question in the chat, so if I can go through. By the way, that was a very good quick run through. You've still got 10 minutes. Thanks for the presentation, both. Are you already currently working with any local schools and colleges? From Sonal.
Sophie, do you want to take that?
I was going to say, Damien, do you want to take this? Because obviously you've got, having obviously been head of sales, you could always bring in some of the other stuff that we're doing. nationally
Sure.
too, as well as locally?
Yeah, sure. So specifically locally, Castle Donington are one of the recent adopters of Xello. And we can certainly, to anyone who requires it, share a list of all of those schools. We're also working with some schools in Derby and perhaps slightly out of the area, but also working into Lincolnshire as well at the moment. Nationally, we're working with close to nationally and including Northern Ireland, we're working with close to 500 schools already. But in terms of locally, we can certainly share a specific list.
Thank you. That's great. Any other questions from anybody else? Yes. What's the cost of the membership?
So it's £2 per student on roll per year. So it's an annual license, runs at £2 per student. And
is that regardless of cohort size?
To an extent, yes. So we have a minimum cost. I don't want to get too detailed in this, but we have a minimum cost of £1,250 per year. So that works out, it is less than 625 students. It's £1,250, and then it's £2 a student.
Thank you. And I think that might be all of the questions. So for everyone who's on the call, Damien's and Sophie's details are on the screen and will be sent out with the recording afterwards. There is another question. What if you're
Sure.
a small school and there's only 32 students? It's a good question. Thanks, Fran.
It is a good question, and we are also reasonable people. So that is an exception to sort of standard rules, but that's something we would have a conversation about. As I said, it's we don't want to get into too much detail on this call, but yeah, certainly where you've got 32 students, then common sense says yes, we'll have a conversation around that.
Okay, so you're able to speak to individual schools about whatever their criteria might be, if it's quite different to usual. Yeah,
something like that that's a standout, then certainly that's something we'll have a conversation around.
Thank you. And the next question, what training is available for teaching staff?
So it's a bespoke approach, really. So every customer gets an account manager, a success manager who works alongside them. Typically, it would be a case of high-level training for those who are responsible for the rollout, whether that's a careers leader, careers advisor, whoever it may be. And then we would offer typically, again, training for all tutors who might be using it, but your success manager will sit down with you and map out a customized plan. We're very conscious that a product like this, you don't use it all in one go. So it's important that whilst we provide that initial support and initial training, we will work with you periodically. And if it's a case of once a term, jump onto a call to do a session. If it's once a week or once a month, we'll make that work for you. There's as good as we believe the product it is, it's only valuable if students are using it, and that means we need to facilitate the use for the teachers.
Does that come at an extra cost, or is
no? That's all part of the package.
Thank you. There were questions pinging every time I was saying there's no more questions, so I'm just waiting before I say that again. But I think that might be all of the questions. That's the most questions so far, so that's good. Is there anything that either
nice to, as I say, join the meeting today and have the opportunity to share what Xello is all about. And we really have only scratched the surface. There is so much more it can do. It's a really powerful tool. So my message to anybody that's here today is get in touch, have your own personal demo so you can see it for yourself, and we can dive into some of the extra additional areas that we've not covered today. No strings attached. It's just nice to speak to local schools and gather their thoughts and feedback on the programme directly.
Yeah, and just to reiterate that, we've got some great articles on our website, client spotlights of customers already using it. And we do have an event coming up in a couple of weeks where we've got a couple of our existing careers leaders using Xello, talking about the impact that Xello's had to support them in continuing to deliver careers education through the pandemic as well. So that might be a useful event for people to tune into.
Who is the audience for that?
Audience, anyone in careers, but specifically careers leaders, but we can certainly circulate the link for that.
Okay, thank you. So I think if that's all, thank you very much both for showing us Xello, and Thank you to all those questions in the audience. We will go to break earlier than expected, which is always nice, but that means that there will be a prompt start at 3 p.m. As soon as we're back. So if you want to stay on the call and mute and shut your videos off, that's absolutely fine. If you want to leave